Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today for Wednesday's Q&A Wine Wednesday. I'm Stephanie Miskew, Certified Sommelier and author of the blog, The Glamorous Gourmet, and I'm thrilled to be here with you every Wednesday at 6 o'clock to answer your questions about wine. So today's question actually is very timely, and it's also very sad, everything that's going on in California wine country right now with all the fires. And of course, I've been getting a lot of questions, and thanks to those of you who wrote to me and asked me questions about, what does this mean? What do these fires mean for the 2020, vintage when it comes to wine? And first and foremost, anything having to affect wine is secondary to all the homes and businesses and lives that are in danger right now, and our hearts and prayers are with everybody out there in California. It's heartbreaking to see what's going on out there right now. So anyway, just keep them in your prayers, and I look forward to getting back out there again as soon as everybody's, things are back to normal and they're ready for us. So keep that in mind. But again, back to the fires and how they're going to affect the wine. And they're pretty much the main topic we're going to be talking about is smoke taint, right? How does the smoke produced by these fires affect the grapes? Well, the good news is the 2020 vintage isn't going to be completely wiped out, right? So there's still going to be wine, and it's actually a very interesting and intricate process as to how you determine whether or not grapes are affected by wine. And now when I say the term smoke taint, it doesn't mean, for instance, that kind of smoky quality you encounter in some wines that's maybe imparted by toasted oak barrels or something like that. Unfortunately, smoke taint results, it wouldn't hurt you if you drank it, but you really wouldn't want to. Smoke tainted wine has notes of, say, like char and ashtray and campfire. It's not a desirable thing. A few years ago, we actually opened, it was a bottle we'd kind of forgotten about. It was a Pinot Noir from the Anderson Valley. We knew the vintage, they did have fires, and we probably opened the bottle, I want to say about 5 years after the vintage date. So it was a little older than we normally would. But yeah, the wine tasted like kind of smoky bacon juice and ashtray, and it was not good. The producer will remain nameless, but we've learned a lot since then about smoke taint. I mean, there's still a lot we have to need to know, but we've learned a lot since then. So, and actually the good that's going to come out of this is that we're going to learn even more, unfortunately. But basically, grapes are most susceptible to smoke taint between the periods of horizon when they start ripening and harvest. So the good news is the grapes that have been harvested and that are already in the winery fermenting are protected in their little tanks by that layer of carbon dioxide. That's that lovely little natural byproduct of fermentation that's going to keep them all nice and tucked in and safe. Unfortunately, right now, the grapes that are most susceptible are the ones that are out there in the vineyards that are ripening and still, wide open to smoke kind of blowing in and affecting them, which is unfortunate. So basically what happens is the smoke, volatile phenols that are released, not to get too geeky, are released from the fire. They can actually permeate the grape skins, and they bind up with these sugar molecules in the grapes, process called glycosylation. And the tricky thing is, when the grapes are pressed, like, you can't really smell these compounds until the wines are already fermented. So that's why it's really hard to tell right away if the wines are smoke tainted or not. So it's kind of tricky, but again, I think they're gonna figure everything out. And again, there's still gonna be wine from this vintage. It just might not be in the same amount, and certain wines may not be made, because let's face it, wines from this region in California, these guys have street cred. They're not going to put their names on something that, isn't up to snuff. So again, as a consumer, if you see a wine on a shelf and it is from the 2020 vintage, the fact that it's there probably means it's going to be a great solid bottle of wine. So I wouldn't worry about it. But again, you know, it's going to be a very interesting learning process. Luckily, they're learning from other regions such as Australia and Chile that have had experience with lots of fires. So everyone's kind of collaborating on the best way to handle this. And a lot of, you know, vintners are sending grapes into labs. The labs are kind of going 24 hours a day right now, trying to determine the levels of these compounds in the grapes and to see whether or not the wines are going to be tainted. Winemakers are also doing micro fermentations to see if these, you know, volatile phenols are released and what the story is. So, but really, what can winemakers do, you might ask? You know, is there anything they can do other than obviously, you know, getting the char, anything off the grape skins? They can obviously minimize contact with the grape skins. That's why red wines tend to be more affected by this, because the juice remains in contact with the skins. White wine, not so much. So white wines are, you know, got off a little easy here. Also, adding additional fining agents like activated carbon can help to absorb some of the undesirable compounds, and also reverse osmosis. And although none of this is 100%, none of it's 100%, but again, you know, I'm sure everyone's going to really hone their ability to detect these compounds, and hopefully the fires will be under control soon. Again, keep everybody in your prayers. But so again, but the important message from all of this is, despite the fires, despite everything that's going on out there right now, nobody is giving up on the 2020 vintage in California. And as a consumer, I want to encourage you to do the same, because I know from meeting a lot of these amazing people, and I mean, it's not just a job, it's, you know, it's their life, it's their life's work, and nobody's going to put their name on something that's not, you know, worth being on that shelf that they wouldn't love to share with you. So again, I hope that answers or demystifies the concept of smoke taint and what that means for wine. If you have any additional questions, feel free to message me or leave it in the comment section below. And again, I'm here with you every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern Time for Q&A Wine Wednesday. And again, I'll also be reporting you and updating you about what's going on with the fires out there in wine country. But anyway, I hope that kind of helps to demystify at least this one small part of it. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. And in the meantime, you know, I'll be here on my page every day kind of updating stuff. And I love to hear from all of you. So thank you so much. Have a great Wednesday. And I'd love to know in the comment section below, what's in your glass tonight? So let me know. Cheers.